So you're recording, or is it just going straight to YouTube live?
No, it's just recording. So, and then I'll come here. I'll bring this guy down, and I record through GarageBand, and then we'll just start. I've got to take off because I think it's instruments. So that should be good there, and all I'll do is just stop. We'll hear it, see how it sounds. So that should be good there, and all I'll do is just stop. Go to edit, delete, and then run this back.
Okay, you just use your living room as the backdrop. It's nice.
I mean, we're pretty high tech around here, as you can see. And then so we're recording. And then let's go up here, and then when we do all the beginning stuff, I'll just edit everything out and all that kind of stuff. But, hey, man, thanks for coming on.
No problem.
Episode 2, Appetite for Discussion. So you had the day off?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Day was off.
Day was off? And
well, actually, no, it wasn't too off. I mean, I had 2 young boys to look after from 8 in the morning until about 6 o'clock at night. So it wasn't really off.
But you got to watch the soccer game.
Yes, of course.
Yeah.
Of course.
So I don't watch soccer at all. At all. Mm-hmm. I don't know anything about soccer. I don't know the rules. That's why I don't watch it. Because I don't understand it. But who won today? You're an England fan, right?
Mm-hmm.
Who won?
England won.
They did?
And penalty kicks. Yeah, it was actually, they were winning the game. They were winning the game 1-0 for a little while. And then towards the very end of the game, like in the last, they call it injury time, I guess, or extra time, I guess you could say. Once they play 45-minute halves, and once it gets to 90 minutes, there's time after that because the official clock is held by the referee.
Okay,
so he stops the clock every time there's a dead ball, stuff like that. But no one else knows the official time except for the referee. So when they call it extra time, it's just that extra time past 90 minutes that he's stopped the clock. Might be a minute, might be 5 minutes, might be 8 minutes. You never know. In this game, it was like, I don't know, 3 to 4 minutes, and they scored during that time.
So anytime someone gets injured, or if there's like an injury timeout, or if the ball goes out of bounds, does the clock stop?
Not every time the ball goes out of bounds, but if it's like extended period of time, if time stops, if you card somebody, like give somebody a card, if the clock stops, if the game stops for any time, extended period of time,
I got you.
Stop the clock.
So, what is the deal with when guys fall down? I haven't watched any World Cup, but they wail.
By the way, I'm wearing the jersey all day.
I forgot my hat. When they fall down and they wail around, you think a guy totally tore his ACL, broke his ankle, and then when the other dude gets the card, they pop up and they run off. Is that just
a lot of people? Yeah, a lot of people don't like that about the game. And yeah, it's not the best thing about the game, but at the same time, it's a part of the game. I see it as, it happens. Yeah. And whatever gets the referee to blow that whistle, a lot of times people will do whatever they need to do. Some people are more excessive with it than others. I'm not going to say certain teams are. Mm-hmm. Maybe certain people are. Certain people have reputations as far as professional players and stuff. But maybe certain teams are more, I guess,
theatrical
with it. But it does. If you really watch the games, it happens a lot, and the way the production's done very well by like Fox and people that are doing it because they show the slow motions and you can see, hardly any contact, but yet the people go down like they're dying,
right.
They're really hurt. But at the same time, at the end of the day, in World Cup level, it's a huge deal. So they got to do everything they can to get an advantage.
Yeah, they do that in all sports. Every sport's looking for an angle.
It's all sports.
Right.
It's all sports looking for an angle. Think of it as offensive lineman holding and not getting called for it.
Sure.
That's technically holding is cheating, but it happens.
Or like your guy on second base.
Or baseball.
Stealing signals.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly. It's not part of the game. Really, but it is part of it.
But it is.
And people get away with it. And you can see, certain teams get upset with it. But at the end of the day, they would do it too a lot of times. So.
Sure. Now, what is it now? Why do you like England as opposed to?
Well, I unfortunately this World Cup I can't choose or cheer for the U.S. But England, I've always liked England. As a fan, I guess you could say, and the players and things. But since my wife's from England, so I obviously have a little tie to England there a little bit. So so my children are half, I guess, British, you could say. So quarter Scottish, quarter British, because her father's 100% Scottish. So I got UK ties.
Wow.
So I got a pull for England there.
Sure. Well, that makes sense. So, when you're watching the World Cup, like for example, when you're if you're watching U.S. football or baseball or basketball, when your big teams get knocked out, because I understand that this World Cup there's been a lot of upsets, right? So does that impact viewership, like for
I would think
your novice fan, or
I would think so. Take this World Cup for example. Some of the major stars in the world, you're Messi,
right,
Ronaldo, they've lost. As far as the networks are concerned, and as far as viewers are concerned, and ratings, they want those guys playing in the big games. Just like the reason the NBA wants LeBron James playing in the NBA Finals versus the Golden State Warriors, because that's what's going to get the viewers watching.
Right.
Football, Tom Brady, people, they want those teams playing in the finals. That's going to get the people watching. Unfortunately, in World Cup right now, it's those guys aren't playing, but they're at the end of their career, so this is probably their last World Cup. So as far as those two guys are concerned,
really,
so it might it's just time maybe for new guys to step up and take the spotlight.
So who would you say Messi or Ronaldo would be passing the torch to? Who's the next up and coming star?
I don't know. That's what World Cups are. That's what World Cups happen.
So that's still being developed or determined.
There was a guy that played in the Premier League in England. His name's Salah. He's Egyptian. He plays for Egypt.
Okay.
They didn't do very well, and he was hurt, but he played. He was kind of the guy that they were saying could be the next guy, but he's not playing now. So, it's kind of the World Cup always brings a new star.
Right. So we're just waiting for that new star this year to blossom, to show himself.
Possibly.
So, how much? Where are we in far as before we get to the championship game? Are we in the semifinals, quarterfinals? Because I know you guys.
Well, today
the brackets are so different from.
Today was the last day of the round of 16.
Okay.
So they're in the final 8.
Final 8.
And they start playing again on Friday.
Okay. All right. And who would you say is the favorite?
Uruguay plays France. Those two teams are pretty solid. Uruguay has 2 of the top 5 strikers in the world, the goal scorers in the world.
Yeah.
And the other ones are already out of the World Cup, so they got the best goal scorers in the world playing still. And they play up front for them on the same team. France is really good. So that the winner of that game will probably have a strong edge. Brazil is always in it. And England's looks very strong. So,
did you happen to see? Did you happen to see? I don't know if Nigeria or Argentina won today, or was it yesterday?
They didn't play each other. Argentina's out.
I saw a thing. It was on ESPN either this morning or yesterday about the Nigerian captain. Did you see that shit?
Oh yeah, about the
his dad was held for ransom.
I was actually just speaking to someone about that. They didn't know during the game. The captain for Nigeria, Mikel, who also plays for Chelsea professionally. That's what he plays for in England, Chelsea. But he.
So you're familiar with him?
Yeah, I know who he is, and he's one of the better players in the world. But his father. He got a call on the way to the game. He was on the bus on the way to the game, I think, and got a call that his father was being held hostage. And he actually spoke to the kidnappers before the game, but didn't tell his coaches, didn't tell his teammates, and played in the game. And that was obviously on his shoulders or on his mind during the game. But they also said in the news today that his dad was I guess found and taken by the police officers, and he's okay now. So
how does something? I mean, did the guy pay a ransom? I mean,
sure
or the authorities, they were able to catch the kidnappers. Have they said anything about that?
I don't know the whole story.
That's just crazy.
But I mean, in other countries and things like that, you never know. I mean, those guys would definitely be targets. They're multimillionaires. He plays for Chelsea, which is one of the biggest teams in the world in England. He makes a pretty good penny. And in Nigeria, I would think, that's things like that happen. He would be a target, or his family's a target.
Fuck. Isn't that crazy?
Mm-hmm.
How shit like that can happen. It doesn't happen here. Not that it couldn't. I mean, anything's possible.
Definitely could.
Fuck. A friend of mine, actually, is my brother-in-law. He sent me a text, and I was like, "You gotta be kidding me." I mean, how do you go out there and play? Can you imagine going out there and playing, knowing? I mean, I don't know. That's some heavy shit.
I'm sure it's happened before.
God.
When you think about all the sports and illegal gambling and just around the world, I'm sure it's happened. Especially when it comes to World Cup and around the world. I mean, that soccer's huge. I mean, when the World Cup was here in the U.S., the last time it was in the U.S., the U.S. beat Colombia, I believe it was. And the reason they won, the reason the U.S. beat Colombia and put them out of the World Cup was because one of the defenders did an own goal, which means he scored on his own goal.
Yeah.
And there's a whole 30 for 30
That's right.
about it. And he was one of the best players on the team. But I think his brother and maybe him, when he went back to Colombia, got murdered. Because of so much money was lost because they were expected.
Because Pablo Escobar was a big funder or president or something, affiliation.
Yeah, and they were one of the biggest. They were one of the favorites that year for the World Cup, and they didn't even advance. So I mean, a lot of people lost money gambling. I'm sure about it.
That's actually a really great 30 for 30 if no one's ever seen. I think is it Pablo versus
Escobar or something.
Escobar versus Escobar?
Or I forget what it was.
Something like that. But it's actually it's very good.
Mm-hmm.
But now you played soccer in high school, right?
Yes, yeah.
You're a goalie.
I played. Yeah, I may have played multiple positions, but I grew up as a goalkeeper.
And you went to ECU, right? Did you play soccer at ECU? Or?
No, they only had a team actually. Maybe two or 3 years I was there. They actually folded a team when I was there. They started, I think, and folded when I was there. Maybe, but I know they folded a team.
Yeah.
Maybe not. Maybe not when I was there, but I know they ended up folding their team. They don't have one anymore. But at the time, I had an invitation to try to walk on, but at the time I was going to college. I didn't want to try to go spend my life playing soccer.
Right.
I was more interested in having fun and enjoying my college years and concentrating on school.
Right, and getting an education, kids.
Definitely.
But going back a second, I'm sure I'm going to talk to other guests about this too. But do you think LeBron made a good decision of going to the Lakers? You think it was a championship decision? Is it a money decision? Not that he really needs money, but he's making 30.
It's 4 years for $154 million. He's making money. He's going to be making money anyway. And probably the reason he moved to LA was because he's going to be making money because he's moving to LA. I mean, he's got an entertainment company. It's this day and age, you need money to make money, and he's got money already, and he's invested in all kinds of things, and with just he wants to get into the Hollywood life, and that's where it needs to be. I think he just looked for a change, and he didn't need to be in Cleveland anymore.
Yeah, I agree with that.
And I guess they don't have a number 23 retired in LA, so so why not? Why not try it and go for it? I don't think it was the best move for him. As far as team wise,
yeah.
But I do think. I grew up kind of a Lakers fan. With Showtime and Magic Johnson and James Worthy and Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. So I like those guys. I like Kobe. I like Shaq. I've always liked Lakers to a certain extent.
Right.
So it'd be nice to see them get out from the gutter that they've been in. I don't know how it's going to work with the Ball brother, or the Ball guy that's there, and as a player, Lonzo probably could work, but with the circus behind it, I don't know if that'll work or not.
It looks like they added. I was looking at the ticker last night as I was nodding to sleep, and it looks like they've added some pieces already, but there's no way he's going to be able.
They're not real pieces. Unless they
They're
have somebody
trying.
else tonight that I didn't know of.
I think they put in
Rajon Rondo,
right.
Lance Stevenson, and JaVale McGee.
Right.
Those aren't very big pieces, but
and they're all on 1-year deals.
yeah, of course.
So it's going to be interesting to see. I don't know if they're going to ship Ball off. There's no way LeBron's going to put up with LeVar. There's no way.
Well, the rumor is I've heard one rumor is I heard Kemba Walker for LeVar Ball and draft picks. Like the Hornets would trade Kemba Walker away to get, and they would get back LeVar Ball and not LeVar Ball, Lonzo Ball. Excuse me.
You know what's interesting about that?
But I don't think Jordan would ever take that on. I don't know.
So 2 points to that. Last night, I was texting a buddy of mine. We were talking about it, and I said, I don't give a shit where he goes. Talking about Lonzo. Mm-hmm. As long as it's not Charlotte, because I can't deal with LeVar.
Well, Kemba Walker's one of the guys that they said that they would like to see. You know, maybe I've heard that in rumors.
Right.
So
well, I mean, he was some trade bait. You know, last quarter of the season, which I think probably caused a little bit of hard feelings. But there's no way. Can you imagine? I mean, didn't LeVar say that he could beat Jordan 1-on-1? So can you imagine bringing that guy to your team?
That'd be great.
It might sell a couple tickets.
It would sell some tickets. I don't know if Jordan would want to do that or not.
No, I would definitely hope not.
But I will say this: if the kid, meaning Lonzo Ball, lives up to the hype, it would be a good deal for Charlotte.
Yeah,
because if he lives up to the hype, he's going to be a walking triple double. You know, good player. Anybody on his team,
right,
is going to be better because of him. That's what they're saying. You know, and I mean, he sometimes has looked good, but
right. Well, this is rookie season.
Shoot, so, you never know.
Right. You were talking about earlier the whole entertainment with LeBron and going to LA and stuff like that. Something that I really find interesting about you is, you were in the entertainment industry for quite a while. How did you fall into that?
It's always been something that's, I guess, had my attention. I mean, I even have a LA hat because I like LA. It's always had my attention for some reason. But no, I mean, in college I majored in media performance and production, which is like news broadcasting.
He helped us with the lights too, by the way. We were having some major glare issues, but he fixed it.
Lighting. Yeah. Shout out to Jesse Cruising. But anyway, I don't know. Stumbled into it one day with a children's entertainment company, and just started working with them. Enjoyed it. They were looking into start a television show. They've made some movies here and there. I worked with theme parks. I've worked at House of Blues. I worked around music, live music, theaters. Just all these different kinds of entertainment.
Right.
Impersonator shows, which is kind of funny. Cruise ships. So I've worked with Elvis impersonators, which is pretty funny. So I've had it's been a wild, crazy ride. So, but it was good times. Good times.
And you worked on the Disney cruise ship, right?
I worked for Disney Cruise Lines. Yes.
And how long did you do that for?
I was on the cruise ship for about almost 6 months.
6 months?
Worked for them for maybe around a year.
And what was it that you did for them? Because here's how I was
an entertainment manager.
Okay.
Oversaw. I guess there were 2 guys on the ship that oversaw the entertainment. As far as the stage manager, which was over the stage shows, the theater shows that went down and saw the big theater, and then there was myself, who was in charge of almost a lot of the atmosphere entertainment when it came to characters, Mickey Mouse, Donna, the princesses, anything that had to do with Disney. I was in charge of.
So you know how
on and off the ship, so we would go and do appearances to schools and daycares and things like that.
Well, that's pretty cool. You know how people talk about, have you heard Eric? Yeah, he's dressing up like a squirrel playing drums for some Nickelodeon band and on a cruise ship. And I'm like, are you serious? That sounds pretty damn cool. So you get to go out there.
No, that is not what happened. Definitely not what happened.
Maybe it wasn't a squirrel. Could have been a moose.
Well, I mean, I wasn't dressing up like anything when I was on a cruise ship. I was actually, I was me. I mean, I was a manager, dressed, in charge of other people's costume characters and things like that. But at one time in my past, yeah, I put on a costume once here and there. But mostly what I did was at one point I said I was and this was during the time of VH1's Flavor of Love. This is a great TV show. You don't remember that one. But I said, I was the Flavor Flav of children's entertainment, because I was almost like a hype man for a costume character band. Is what I did. It was me coming out talking.
Gotcha.
So that's kind of what I did for that, and that's what I got to tour around and went all around the world basically doing that.
That is so you got to tour all around the world, basically being a hype man for that.
Mm-hmm.
Damn, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
There's not a lot of people who can do that. There's a lot of people who have done that. So, did you ever do any impersonations yourself?
No,
you didn't. I was hoping you were going to say yes.
I mean, I have impersonations as far as like on stage, impersonating people. No,
you weren't Elvis.
No, I did promotions in an Elvis costume before on the side of the road. Actually, different places promoting a show in an Elvis costume. Still have the costume.
You still have the Elvis costume.
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm.
So, we're definitely not going to talk about everything I wanted to talk about tonight, because I want you to come back in your Elvis costume for the next episode.
No.
Do you put it on from time to time?
I don't think so. No, I haven't had it in a while.
I feel like you should do that.
In pieces, maybe, not the whole thing.
You're denying yourself and everyone around you.
Maybe once or twice.
That little bit of magic. So, how did you? What was the best part of that job?
Which
the entertainment part of you being
just
the hype
traveling.
man.
I mean, traveling was awesome. I've got to see places that not many people would think that or ever even imagine seeing.
Mm-hmm.
It's been in the news a lot, but I mean, I've been to South Korea. I've been to Iceland. People talk about the Blue Lagoon. You see a lot of people talking about the Blue Lagoon in Iceland. I was there back probably over 10 years ago. So before it was popular, I was chilling out in the Blue Lagoon. I've been to Guam. How many people have been to Guam? Not many.
Not people who aren't in trouble.
Yeah, exactly. Been all around the U.S., Alaska and Hawaii, including. So it's been Europe, Germany, Belgium, Netherlands, England, Norway. So it's been a good time. Japan, great time.
What was the coolest place you've been?
I don't know about. I mean, I've been to a lot of places that are just great that I really really enjoyed. But one thing that I thought was cool about my travels was there was one day that I was flying out of Alaska. Within like 2 or 3 days, I saw Mount Mitchell in Alaska, which is, I guess, if not the highest point on North America, or one of the highest points of North America.
Yeah.
They might have to check those facts. I'm not sure about that.
We'll have our stat guy check.
I know it's one of the highest points of North America. And so I flew and I saw the top of Mount Mitchell. Well, like a day or two later, I saw the top of Mount Fuji. And Mount Fuji is, the highest point in Japan, I believe. It's just that experience there was very enlightening and humbling, and it was one of those things that I always remember. So another thing, South Korean War Museum was very cool to see. I stayed in South Korea for a while. I was in Seoul in a hotel right outside one of the bases there for a little while, and we had a day off, and a buddy of mine went and toured the South Korean War Museum. It was very, very interesting.
I can only imagine.
Just things like that. Been to Pearl Harbor. I took advantage when I was places and went and kind of toured things and saw things. I'm a runner, so like I went to go everywhere I was or where I went. I always went on a jog. So like jogging around Pearl Harbor was really cool.
Oh wow, that's got to be an amazing experience.
Mm.
When I would travel for work and still do, I usually try to make it a point to go see something, while I'm out, or You got to live while you can, and while you're there, you might as well take advantage of what little bit of time you have while you're somewhere. So how did you transition out of the kind of the entertainment world into? Did you go right into teaching after that, or was there a period of where you did some other stuff and then you landed?
Pretty much went right into it, but I will have to track back one other thing to say. But the greatest thing out of my entertainment career was probably the fact that I met my wife through the entertainment career. But we can leave that for another day and time. But yeah, I met my wife through my entertainment career, so that's probably the best thing that's ever come out of it. But well, as far as going into teaching, I was back in town in Statesville, and I guess was made aware that the high school was looking for a soccer coach, and a friend of mine called me and kept telling me I should try to be the soccer coach, which I was like, no. And I was looking for jobs. There's not many entertainment jobs around here in Statesville, Charlotte area, much less, and we wanted to be around family, so that's why we stayed and moved back here instead of moving to Vegas or Orlando or New York, LA, one of those places. And just kind of fell in my lap, and I started teaching sports and entertainment marketing, which is kind of the jobs that I did throughout the years, marketing and working with entertainment companies, right, doing promotions, things of that nature. So it kind of was a good fit for me to do that and coach a soccer team and teach something that I've actually had experience doing as a profession. So. And
you guys have come. I mean, I can't really remember how well the soccer team was doing prior to you taking over, but you've won how many conference championships while you've been the head coach?
I've been the head coach for 4 years, and we've won 4 straight.
4 straight. Yeah. That's a lot. Yeah. That's a lot in a row.
I've had a lot of talent. I've had a lot of talent, so.
So have you seen, speaking of talent, when you played, how would you compare the talent from when you played, 21 years ago, right?
It's totally different. 100%. 100%. I mean, it's totally different from when we were in high school and the way we played, and just the teams. There are guys on the team now that probably are low on the totem pole as far as talent, but would probably be the best player on the team when we were probably playing, as far as skill wise. The skill level is so much different. The style of play is so much different. It's just it's pretty crazy how much it is. Back when we were playing, there were guys on the field that not necessarily didn't have hardly any skill. The only time they played soccer and touched soccer ball was during soccer season, and that was probably the majority of the team. And they just relied on their athletic ability and their speed, and weren't necessarily having the ball skills and the touch. And there was always guys on the team that you didn't want to pass the ball to. And the team knew it. Why don't pass it to him, because he might not be able to control it.
Right.
Where nowadays, I've been fortunate with the teams that I've been coaching, there's no one on the field that you want to say don't pass the ball to that guy, because he's not going to be able to control it. You expect everyone to be able to control the ball and touch the ball and have good footwork. So that's the biggest difference. Every spot of the field.
Is speed different? Is the game faster? Is it still...
The passing's faster, I guess.
The passing's faster.
Well, as far as the ball movement, it can be. Depending on who your team is, and depending on what teams you are. I've been lucky enough to have teams that, yes, the skill level and the ball movement's faster. I'm not saying the players are faster. The athletic ability is not. I'm not going to say that's much difference. I think the game's probably less physical than it was maybe when we were playing. I don't know. So it's maybe a little bit less physical. As far as called a little closer. As far as referees,
have rules changed to make it less physical, or is it just a less physical game? Period.
No, just day and age of time. All sports are. Football, right. Basketball, they all are. People aren't as physical as back when we used to play sports in high school. So.
Yeah, absolutely. You want one? I'll go get you one.
Sure.
I'll get me a refill too. One thing that you could talk about while I go grab yourself a refill and myself is, how would you compare when you played to now, like motivating players? Like I feel like it may have been easier to motivate kids 20 years ago than it is to motivate kids now. And how do you get kids interested into playing soccer and coming out for sports and being involved and wanting to win and keeping a positive attitude? Like, how do you manage that? Because it seems like today when I go to, watch sports, and from younger kids to high school kids, one kid gets upset, you hurt his feelings, he doesn't come back, or he starts pouting, cusses the coach out. Like, that didn't happen 20 years ago. Mm-hmm. So how do you or if it did, it was a rarity. We have a friend who may have cussed his coach out a time or two. I may have him on too.
Well, we can talk about this when you get back.
All right.
Do that. Yeah. So do you you edit and all this stuff before you put it up on YouTube?
Nope.
Oh, you don't?
Mm-mm.
Oh, you don't?
I just go straight, man.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. My production crew, I'm on a very slim budget here. So, like when I go get you a Pepsi and I get me a sweet tea.
Well, that's why you asked me to commentate while you were gone.
Correct.
I that.
Yeah.
Oh, well, I'll go ahead and get to it then. As far as the difference of motivation, I think as far as getting kids to come out and play soccer is a lot easier now than it used to be, because more kids are playing soccer now than they ever were. It's one of the most popular youth sports in America. More kids are probably playing youth soccer than youth football, youth baseball. Definitely in this area.
Oh, for sure. So definitely in this area, you've seen an
it's hurting baseball. I mean,
big time.
The kids that would grow up playing baseball are now growing up playing soccer. And I know it's as a baseball guy, it's upsetting to you, but I just don't know if that. I mean, at least in this area, that's what I see.
Why do you think that is?
I don't know. I really don't know. Maybe soccer's getting more popularity as we're getting more multicultural in our area. More and more soccer's getting as far as television wise and internet wise. I never used to really be able to watch and follow professional soccer leagues and know who the greats were and really follow them. Every once in a while I'd be able to watch something, but not consistently. Now they can follow it. The world's smaller these days. They can watch English Premier League. I mean, I can sit at home and watch English Premier League games more than, say, someone that lives in England, because they live too close to the stadium and they can't watch it, such as my relatives. I can, certain games I can watch that they can't even see. But motivation-wise, the kids are coming out. Mm-hmm. As far as myself as a coach and how I motivate them, I just I look back to when I was there, and this as an adult. You played high school sports. You always probably think, man, I wish I could go back and play high school sports again. Right?
Yes.
I mean, right? That's a time in your life
on a weekly basis
that you wish you could go back to and be like, man, I loved it. I mean, that's a time in your life. And from early on, as soon as I get a hold of those kids, those young guys, I try to put that in their mind and let them know that, hey, this time in your life, you'll never get back. You'll never get back these 4 years in your life. Never. So, you'll always be able to play a video game. You'll always be able to go hang out with the boys. You'll always be able to go, you'll always be able to go chase some girls. You'll always be able to go and get influenced to do drugs or drink some beer. You'll always be able to make that choice in your life. Always. But the one choice you will not be able to make in your life, as far as what you're facing right now and a choice you have right now, is to be able to play high school sports. And that's kind of what I put in their mind. And that kind of helps motivate them. Even kids that, and also I give ones chances that, I don't like cutting kids. I'm not a coach that likes you're cut from the team. If you come in as a freshman, if I got enough uniforms, put them on the team. if you're okay with not playing in a game, but you'll come to practice, you'll work hard, you'll do what I ask you to do, I'll give you a uniform. But just know you might not play in the game that day. If you're willing to do that, why not be on the team? Because there might be one day where you'll be able to help the team out. If you listen, you progress, and you grow into your body. I mean, they're 13-year-old kids, and they come there and they turn into 18-year-old men, basically. So there's I see a lot of changes, and it paid off, actually. It's paid off by me not cutting some kid, and then by the time he's a senior, he's helped out a team. So.
That's really interesting because, and I think that's fantastic, and that you don't cut kids. As long as you got jerseys, they're going to play.
I'm not going to say I'm not going to, ever, but I haven't really.
Up to this day.
Yeah.
Because if you think about kids that young who are trying out for something, they're very vulnerable, they're fragile. And something that maybe there's a kid who's not a part of anything, who wants to be a part of something.
That's the whole point.
And, they get broken. Right? That's the only thing they have. They kick that soccer ball every day up against a brick wall or their house or a tree or whatever. And they want to go try out. But, they aren't, quote, good enough. And that just breaks them. So I think that's amazing that to date, that you haven't had to do that. And there could be that one kid that, later on that will impact. Because I'll tell you, if there's one regret that I have, it was... I was a sophomore, and it was wrestling season, and I tweaked my back. And I went to the doctor, and the doctor basically gave me the choice of you can either A, keep wrestling and have this problem, but you're probably not going to be able to play baseball. So you need to pick. You're going to play baseball in the spring, or you're going to wrestle in the winter. And hindsight being 2020, I looked at that as a way out. For whatever reason, I saw a way out, and I quit. It's the only thing I've ever quit in my life. Yeah. Now, I didn't get cut, but that's something today that...
You wish you wouldn't have done.
Oh, I wish I wouldn't have done it. And, Coach Jackson pulled me aside. Remember Coach Jackson? He told me the only thing wrong with my back was that yellow streak going down the middle of it. I'll never forget.
And he was right.
Yeah. I don't know why I was looking for a way out, but I was. My priorities were all screwed up at the time. But I've taken that lesson... And there's been a lot of times where you want to quit, but I don't quit. I mean, shit, even last night, it was 9 o'clock or whatever, and I didn't want to go to the gym, but I'd be damned if I'm going to quit. There's times in school where maybe I should have quit and maybe changed, or so, who knows, but I never quit. I don't quit. I'm not going to give up. If I'm committed to something, I want to see it to the end. And I think that's great that kids, as of right now, they try out. They may not have to be the best skill or whatnot, but they at least are involved in something. And that, for them, being involved and accepted and having a team, almost like a family, is huge for them.
That's what I preach. I mean, when I came back and became a dad, the opportunity to have to be the coach, I looked at it as, those 4 years of my life when I was there, not to mention the years that my older brother was there and the years that my younger brother was there. I mean, 3 generations of playing on the team. It's been a part of my life, and a lot of my good friends, even to this day, were made through that soccer team. And it was a huge part of my high school career. So that's kind of one of the things that I wanted to, instill in these guys and let them know that they might not be your best friends, they might not be your life, your best friends forever and ever, but just remember these guys are your teammates. You're going to remember forever, and just make the most of it. And another big thing is, I try to make sure they stay in shape. When I didn't realize until after I was out of school that, hey, if you actually stay in shape and run and do things like that, you're a better athlete. So I instill that in them and make them run a lot. And not only do I make them run a lot, but I run with them. And that's probably the biggest thing that I think has helped me out as a coach more than anything. I tell them there's nothing that I'm going to do or I'm going to ask you to do that I wouldn't do myself. And there's been a lot of examples of things that I've given my players. I don't know if I want to say that right now here on this, but there's a lot of things. If I ask you to go run up this hill, I would run up that hill. If I'm going to ask you to go run 2 miles, I would go run 2 miles. If I'm going to ask you to run up these stadiums, or if I'm going to ask you to get down and do this, I would do it too. And I put that in their mind, and it helps me out as far as when I ask them to do something. A lot of times I'll do it. So
that's going to be. I think that's great. I feel like if I was a coach, I wouldn't put my kids, and that's, as a matter of fact, not just a coach, but as a parent. Dempsey and Sullivan aren't going to get any slack. They're not from anyway, especially if they're going to try to go out and play a sport.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not going to ask them to do anything that I wouldn't do.
Mm-hmm.
As far as physical stuff. Sometimes I think it's important that they see, your dad, going to the gym, working out, doing push-ups, mowing the lawn, or doing stuff like that. I don't want them to be sedentary and sit around and stare at the TV. Demp loves looking at the TV. I'm like, God, are we warping this kid's mind already? I don't know.
Yeah.
You think about those things though when you become a parent or a teacher or a mentor to kids. You don't want to put them through anything that you wouldn't want to do.
Mm-hmm.
But when you turn 50, it's gonna be hard for you to run those stadium stairs.
Well, that's true.
But no, it's good that you'll even do it.
Yeah, it's still, but I still do it. I mean, at the same time, I'm almost 40, and I can still do it with them somewhat. And that's what's helped me. And it's not just that. It's more of also too. I give them an ear to listen to things about. They might not be able to tell somebody else or ask somebody else. I'm like, yeah, ask me whatever. I've seen a lot. I've heard a lot. I've heard everything. It's not going to shock me. Right. Whatever you got for me, I'm not going to look different at you.
I think that's great that your players look up to you as a coach, but also as someone that they can maybe lean on and maybe talk to you about something that they couldn't maybe talk to their parent about or a buddy about or something like that.
Yeah.
So that's nice. There's not a lot of coaches that I had growing up that I would feel that way about.
Yeah.
But I think times have changed too. People have softened, not necessarily softened up, but tried to see things from the other side or see things from a kid's perspective, especially depending on the situation.
Yeah.
So I think that's great that you do that for them.
Well, I appreciate it. There's a lot of people out there that maybe have other ideas that I'm not the best for some of my kids that I coach, but I do make an effort to be the best role model, I guess, and the best person for them individually. I allow those kids to be individuals and let them be themselves because that brings the best out of them. So.
And those coaches who have a problem with it haven't won a conference championship in at least 4 years.
And it's not just coaches; it's parents. It might be other fans or whatnot.
Sure.
But at the end of the day, I've been a Greyhound my whole life as far as Statesville soccer is concerned and Statesville's concerned. As long as my parents and my kids and my school are happy with me, I'm not necessarily trying to be the best friend or be liked by the other teams. I mean, that's not the point, right? When you're coaching a sport or playing a sport, the point's not to make the other team happy. The point's to beat the other team, right?
That's why you play. You play to win.
But at the end of the day, I mean, I think I'm a good sport. I like to be a good sport. But during the game, you're going to do everything you can to try to win that game.
Sure, of course.
So,
what are your thoughts on your kids playing full-time soccer around the year? Or do you think it's important or beneficial for them to go play other sports and maybe it develops them to be more well-rounded? There's certain studies out there and there's research that shows, the kids who are focused on additional sports actually excel in the sport that they may be the best at.
I think that, to be honest with you, from what I've seen and what I've experienced, I think it relies on the individual. On the individual, the person, the child, or the athlete. There's always, and you've grown up and you've seen it when we were growing up, and even now, there's guys out there that are good at everything they do, or they're capable of doing multiple sports.
Right.
But in this day and age, and I'm all for that. I'm one of those coaches too, that if you have something else going on, whether you practice it for another team, like say if you're playing soccer for another team and you have to go to another practice, fine, you can leave my practice and go do that if you need to, as long as you're going to practice. Or, even if you have Boy Scouts to do or something else, I'm okay with you, as long as you tell me, go do it. That's fine. I want you to be well-rounded. I want you to experience teenage life the best you can possibly, because you're never going to have this time in your opportunity, or this opportunity ever again in your life. So do it. But as far as sports-wise, I think it's good they play a lot of different things if they're capable of doing it. But at the end of the day, if you want to be the best at something, you probably need to put more time. And the ones that I see excelling the most are the ones that are putting in more time at their individual craft or individual sports, whether it's soccer, basketball, football. So
it's like anything else.
It is. I mean, you got to spend time at it to really develop. And soccer is one of those sports, and by the time you become, a teenager, 15, 16 years old, if you don't have the skill already, it's going to be hard to develop that ball skill. But there's guys out there that if they keep working on it, I mean, it helps them out. They become better.
Well, man, I think that's it.
Yeah?
Yeah.
All right.
It wasn't too bad, was it?
No, it wasn't too bad. Yeah, I enjoy talking about soccer and
absolutely.
different things.
Yeah. I think I appreciate you coming on. That's the end of episode 2 for Appetite for Discussion. We'll see you guys next time. Thanks.